Hey guys, I'm JanetOnOccasion, and today we're covering some more news, and there's a lot of it, and it's cool, and I'm happy. I'm very excited today. So yes, dev blog, right? CA have released another dev blog, which is linked in the description if you want to read it all through yourself, because I'm not covering all of it. No, I'm just covering the Warhammer stuff, although I might glance the other stuff. So yeah, as you can see, they're pushing Troy a bit here, but that's the least exciting news, because we all know Troy's coming. So, Total War Saga Troy is coming. It's coming out the 13th. It's free for the first 24 hours. Epic exclusive, but, you know, it's free, so frankly, I don't mind. Also, it will have mod support, which is good, soon in September. So, you know, mod support will be soon, because that was something that people were worried about. So that's all good. Also, DLC array has been posted as well. So, Warhammer 2. What we're all here for. So, the Realm of the Wood Elves returns. This is a big deal. So, we can reveal that the next DLC for Warhammer 2 is indeed a Lord Pack focused on the Wood Elves, and we will be revisiting one of the original core races from Warhammer 2. So, we will also be revisiting one of the core races from Warhammer 2. That's important, because we're doing Wood Elves, and we are also revisiting one of the original core races. It doesn't say, and we are doing a Wood Elves rework. No, but inevitably they will be doing a rework for Wood Elves, because they can't just release, you know, a bunch of new content for a broken faction. So, clearly, they're going to be against something, and that faction will get the rework. So, that's awesome. So this Lord Pack is packed full of all of the great content that you come to expect from Total War DLC, but this time we are excited to talk to you about a few additional ways we are giving a little extra back to our fans who have joined us on this journey through the Warhammer world. However, there's a couple of things that you need to know about it, so please take a glance through the below for a bit of a breakdown. So this is interesting, but I feel like this is going to be yeah, I'll get to it. There's a few weird things here. A few weird caveats. So, if you own Total War Warhammer 2, right? That on its own. Just Total War Warhammer 2. Not the first one, no Mortal Empires, all the rest of it. Just Total War Warhammer 2. You're getting a full and complete Legendary Lords pack that will introduce you to 2 brand new Legendary Lords, each with their own factions, objectives, mechanics, units, and playstyle. As always, you'll be able to use them in the Eye of the Vortex campaign, and custom and multiplayer battles. We'll also be dropping an awesome new free hero for all Total War Warhammer 2 players to enjoy. So that's a hero, not a legendary lord, which is interesting, and that's for all Total War Warhammer 2 players to enjoy. So the free hero, I'm assuming, isn't Wood Elf related. That's what I'm guessing. So I don't know what that hero will be, but they have been slowly filling in more heroes, you know, into the rosters. So it could be for Skaven, it could be for, you know, Lizardmen, it could be for Dark Elves, but it says that, you know, for all players to enjoy. So I don't know if that means that all players will encounter it in the map, or all players will be able to actually use it if you own Warhammer 2. So, bit of speculation there. So it could be from one of the core factions, or it could just turn up in the Vortex campaign. So it really could be anything at this point. But it's going to be a hero, so that's something. So, right, so a couple of 2 brand new Legendary Lords. So this is a weird thing, because it's only 2 brand new Legendary Lords. Usually, these packs have more than that. Well, they have, you know, it's not 2... It's a weird one. So 2 brand new Legendary Lords, all they've mentioned is Wood Elves. Does that mean that one of them is going to be Wood Elf and one of them is going to be something else? Hard to tell. I'm assuming so, but I don't know. It doesn't really specify. I mean, that is the trend, right? But they seem to be going all in with the Wood Elf stuff. So, I don't know. But it's interesting. It's interesting nonetheless. So, if you own Total War Warhammer and Total War Warhammer 2, so, you know, you have access to Mortal Empires, we'll of course be continuing our old world updates for Mortal Empires, so you can use all of your shiny new content in the Mortal Empires campaign. This update will also bring some reworks for the Wood Elves faction, and some general Mortal Empires updates to the game. So now they do specifically say Wood Elves. But they did say also up here somewhere. Where was it? Up here somewhere. Anyway, they said also. So does that mean they're doing 2 reworks at once? Because if this is the last DLC of the game, which it very well could be, they kind of need to tick all those boxes, all the stuff that needs a rework. Because waiting for Warhammer 3 to update some of these factions feels like a big ask, you know? So I'm thinking we might get a Beastman rework. That's my hunch, but who knows at this point. But it's fun to speculate, so that's what I'm going to do. And then, finally, For owners of Total War Warhammer, Total War Warhammer 2, and the Realm of the Wood Elves DLC pack, if you've already been with us since the beginning, we have a few additional surprises lined up that make this already jam-packed DLC even more interesting. If you've collected all that content, you'll also be getting a bonus Legendary Lord with all the trimmings. We can't wait to introduce you to her. And this is a big clue, because her means that it's a woman. Yeah, that helps narrow it down anyway. So that does help narrow down a few different options for what we'll be getting in the DLC and what we'll be getting as the Legendary Lord, you know, the bonus one. So we're looking at this DLC as something that's really for the players who want to complete their collection. While you can absolutely buy it and get a ton out of it if you only own Warhammer 2, it's also true that you'll get the most of it if you also own Warhammer, Warhammer 2, and the existing Realm of the Wood Elves DLC. And we think it's worth us being upfront about that here. So, you know, it is a shame there's certain things that are cordoned off, but the amount of time that, like, Realm of the Wood Elves goes on sale, being such an old DLC, and a very small DLC anyway, even the base price is pretty cheap, and you do get a lot of content out of it. I mean, and Warhammer 1 being on sale constantly, Warhammer 2 has been on sale a few times. Like, if you're a big fan of the franchise, then, yeah, you've probably got all that stuff, to be honest. And if you don't, you can pick it up pretty cheap, and I'd be very surprised they didn't do a sale between now and the release of this content. So, you know, I don't feel they're being too strict about cordoning things off, but, you know, they're just giving some bonus stuff for loyal fans, which I kind of like. You know, if you have been there for the whole time, you get something else, you know, something new out of it, which I think is a nice way to sort of reward the fan base, because it's been a long journey. You know, it's been a long journey. Warhammer 1 came out, like, what, 4 years ago now? It's been a long time, and people like me have been playing it non-stop. So, you know, it's nice to get a little something back. I think that's quite sweet of them. But I know it'll probably be a little contentious. So, yeah, here's the graph of that. Is it all too confusing? Don't worry, we'll be announcing it properly soon. We'll have plenty very clear info on what you get depending on which games you own. We hope it works and you get a kick out of it, because then it means we'll be allowed to do it again. And we really want to add everything we can to Total War Warhammer. So that's nice. And then there's Three Kingdoms stuff. So the Nan-Man are coming, which is also huge. Yeah, people love the Nan-Man, but this isn't what this video is about. I might cover that in another video. I'm more excited about Warhammer, and I know my fans are. You know, I know you guys watching this are probably bigger Warhammer fans. You know, that's where I built my channel on. So this is the biggest news, I think, for most of you guys out there. So, yeah, right. So, what are we looking at here? What have we got? So, so game update, free hero. That's if you're not buying anything. Okay, so, yep. Fine, normal stuff. But then, Warhammer 2, if you own that, get 2 Legendary Lords, presumably one of them will be Wood Elves. Then you get new units, characters, mounts, ability to play as Wood Elves in the Vortex campaign using this new Lord, which is very cool, and some other bits and bobs. So, here, I have Boog. I have a Boog. I have another one as well, actually, but that one's irrelevant for now. Yeah, for now, you sit there. You wait there. Good. So, options, okay? The options that we've got here for what the Legendary Lords are. So like, a lot of people want the Sisters of Twilight, right? A lot of people want the Sisters of Twilight. But, to me, would they call the Sisters of Twilight one Legendary Lord if it's 2 people? I don't know. I don't know. So I'm going to put that as a maybe. But I think Araloth is a big one. So here's Araloth. You know, I'll probably edit in a picture of him because you can't see it. It's just silly. Anyway, so Ariel, he's the Lord of Talsin. So it kind of makes sense that if a legendary lord who hangs out in Talsin, it makes sense that he get moved somewhere more interesting, because Orion's kind of got a monopoly on Talsin right now, you know? So this could work out quite well. So Araloth was not always a hero. In his youth, he was a craven lordling who had not the mettle to hunt any prey that would hunt him in return. Whilst others went to battle in his stead, Araloth caroused and hunted in the company of worthless friends and tried to forget his shame. It was upon one such hunt that Araloth was thrown from his horse and separated from all companions, save for Scarin, his trusted hawk. It's nice to have a trusted hawk. Also, Hawk Rider Lord, it's pretty cool. You know, someone to compete with Tic-Tac-Toe in the skies. So, after wandering lost for many hours, Araloth came to a strange glade. Though dawn had broken scant hours before, the lordling now beheld a crescent moon hanging low in a darkened sky. It was a scene to stir the heart, yet Araloth scarcely saw it. He had eyes only for the elf maiden who stood alone at the glade's heart, and the monstrous four-armed demon that menaced her. He only has eyes for the four-armed demon. Also, if I keep playing with my hair, it's because it keeps getting in my eyes. I've still got lockdown hair. It should be like 8 inches shorter than this. It's ridiculous. So yeah, it just keeps getting in my face. Oh, the joy. Anyway, there, at last, Araloth found his courage, for even his craven heart could not abandon the maid to the demon's cruel pleasures. Before he realised it, Araloth was running to her aid, and his hunting spear soon gouged the demon's flank. The beast was swift, and Araloth would have perished from its counterblow, had Scarin not descended from the skies to tear out the demon's eyes. What is it with birds and eyes? It's horrible. Blinded, the beast flailed madly, but Araloth ducked easily under its claw and thrust his spear deep into its black heart. As the demon fell dead, Araloth closed his eyes, amazed both at his victory and at the courage from which he had won it. When he opened them once more, the demon's body had vanished. Looking upon the maiden once more, Araloth saw at last beyond her mortal guise, and knew that he was in the presence of a goddess. Long they walked under the stars, the goddess and the lordling. They spoke of many things, and she revealed to him many wonders. The goddess told of how she had watched and counselled the elves since the dawning of the world, speaking plainly when the Creator allowed it, and through dreams when he would not. But even the power of the gods must fade, she said sadly. Hers was nearly spent, and she had 3 great gifts to bestow. Araloth, freed now of his fears, was the first of these, a hero to defend the elves in the coming dark. The second would be Araloth's firstborn daughter, a saviour to bring hope when it was needed most. Of the third gift, however, the goddess would not speak, for there were some secrets even she could not share. Soon after, Araloth fell into a deep sleep. A good night's sleep, that's the third gift. You know, it's hard to sleep in Athaloran. You know, all the insect noises and stuff, it's, Anyway, when he awoke, he did so in his hall, with friends at his bedside. He had been thrown from his horse, they said, his senses scattered by the fall. When Ariel told them of his tale, his companions laughed, thinking that he had dreamt it all. Not wishing to be thought mad, Araloth laughed also, but his heart knew the truth. In the years after Araloth became the fearless hero that the goddess had foretold, his triumphs and inspiration for many a song following the Battle of Arden, in which Araloth slew Morga the Corrupter. The Mage Queen decreed that he would thereafter be her loyal companion, an honour not bestowed in living memory. Yet despite the renown and the accolades, Araloth has never forgotten she who made him thus. So it is that on those nights, when the crescent moon shines upon Athaloran, Araloth the Bold embarks upon the hunt, with Scarin as his only companion, hoping to meet with his beloved goddess once more. So, cool dude. Also, it must be said that his hawk isn't actually a, it's just a hawk. It's not like a hawk rider hawk. It's a normal-sized hawk, not a massive one. But I kind of like to think they give him a mount of a hawk to be thematic, but maybe not. Maybe he will end up just like normal with a forest dragon or something. But it's got to be a hawk, right? Right? I mean, it's not supposed to have one, but again, they give mounts to stuff. I want him to be on a hawk, is what I'm saying. So anyway, you never know. Maybe Scarin will get a growth spurt. Yeah, that could be good. So he's a cool dude. He's a cool dude. It'd be nice to have, a sort of a spear lord, sort of an anti-large specialist. I know Orion is, but kind of in a different manner, So I think it'd be interesting to have Araloth for sure. But there's also the Sisters of Twilight. So it doesn't specify whether the legendary lords are going to be, male or female, right? It only says her for the free one, which does leave us another option if it's not, referring to one of the Sisters of Twilight. Again, it'd be weird to refer to them as her rather than them. Also, it'd be weird to say a new legendary lord. We can't wait to introduce you to them. It's just, that still makes sense, actually. They should have done that. It still would have been vague. Anyway, so, but they weren't vague. So, I don't know. Anyway, it could be. It could be Nestra and Arahan, the Sisters of Twilight. So, again, picture. I'll just do this so I remember. There she is, and she and her. So, high in the alpine slopes of the Pine Crags, the Eyrie of Twilight dominates the skyline. Herein lie the elegant halls of Nestra and Arahan, the Sisters of Twilight. The twins are as different as night from day, not just in appearance but in personality. Naystra's spirit is as pure as starlight, Arahan's as wild as an unbridled flame. While Naystra seeks battle only in pursuit of preventing greater harms, Arahan welcomes it with wanton joy. If truth be told, Naystra always seems reproving of her sister's deeds, though this only ever increases Arahan's delight. Despite their differences, the twins are inseparable. Never has one been sighted without the other in all the time they have dwelt in Athelloren. The Sisters of Twilight first appeared during the long years of Ariel's self-imposed exile from the mortal realm, acting as her representatives upon the Great Council. None save for the Mage Queen know the sisters' true origins, though there are many rumours that purport to fill this gulf. Some say that they are the splintered halves of a young elf maid who became lost in the wild woods long ago, and was remade so that she might better serve the weave. Others recount that the twins are the darkest and lightest aspects of Ariel's spirit made manifest, her passion and mercy split apart from her soul, so that they can no longer dominate her being as they have in the past. Which is, you know, classic Warhammer nonsense, isn't it? To go, I don't like this part of me, I'll turn it into a woman. Fair enough, you know. I mean, wouldn't you? I know I would. A few stories even claim that the sisters are as divine as Ariel and Orion, but most commonplace by far are the songs and tales that claim the twins are simply Ariel's daughters, and thus princesses of Athelloren by right of blood and lineage. Ultimately, however, the Wood Elves debate and retell these possibilities solely out of their love of storycraft. They know that Naystra and Arahan speak with the authority of their beloved Mage Queen. No secret of the past will ever change that. Even amongst the Fey folk of Athelloren, the Sisters of Twilight are notable for an otherworldliness of spirit and manner. Any weapons the sisters touch become infused with a portion of their nature. Those wielded by Naystra become anathema to creatures of anarchy and discord, whilst Arahan's tools of battle inflict great harm on beings with noble souls. Armed thusly, the sisters walk paths that even Waywatchers dread, and are said to tread the glades of the Dreaming Wood with as little concern as they do the eternally sunlit groves of Aranoch. Though inclined to seek battle from afar, Naystra and Arahan do not shirk the bitter press of melee should the situation require. All of their armaments, be they arrows or blades, are crafted upon Vol's anvil by no lesser hands than those of Daith. The Master Smith dotes upon the pair in a manner of a proud uncle, and indulges Naystra's obsession with the perfect honing of her time-worn blade, as uncomplainingly as he does Arahan's ardent insistence at carrying a freshly fashioned spear into each battle. No other, not even Daith's fellow lords and ladies of the Great Council, can command his time so completely as the Sisters of Twilight. Yet each time the twins present the Smith with a new challenge, he simply gives a small smile and returns to the fires of the forge. A foe would be well advised to avoid confronting the Sisters of Twilight unless he possesses absolute certainty that he can fell them both in quick succession. The harms inflicted upon one twin are inconsequential so long as the other yet draws breath. The ancient magics of the forest see the fallen sister restored within moments of the supposedly fatal event. This protection extends equally to both Naystra and Arahan, but it is inevitably the latter who gains the most frequent benefit from it, and then invariably, in the most spectacular of fashions, to recount but a few such occasions, Arahan has hacked her way out of the belly of a gorgon after being swallowed whole, emerged unscathed from a razor-sharp cloud of dark magic to slay its caster, and eviscerated a vampire a heartbeat after her own decapitation. The fleeting moments of Arahan's deaths are about the only times when Naystra casts aside her calm demeanour and becomes as furious a fighter as her twin. It is impossible to say whether this is because Arahan's wild spirit flows into her sister for those brief moments that her own body lies slain, or is simply a sibling's natural wrath at the seeming slaughter of her kin. Whatever the cause, the consequences for the foe are inevitably bloody. Naystra's blade work may not be as exuberant as Arahan's, but what it lacks in brashness it more than compensates for with lethality of precision. Indeed, the slaughter Naystra wreaks when enraged is matched in scale only by the withering disapproval with which Naystra beholds her reckless sister once the moment has passed. A disapproval that Arahan disregards as cheerfully as he does all others. The Sisters of Twilight seldom fight from the centre of the battle line, but are instead carried through the war-torn skies by one of their loyal steeds. Sorry, I've lost my place again. Swift-winged Gwyndalor is the wise and even-tempered ally, as would be expected of a beast whose lineage springs directly from Talon, king of eagles. Moreover, he has an uncanny ability to bring the twins to a position where their arrows can inflict the most harm. Cathin Har, by contrast, is a hot-blooded, a creature as can be found in dragon kind. He thinks nothing of hurling both himself and the Sisters of Twilight into the thick of the fray, where arrows can be fired at point-blank range, and blades, too, can do their wicked work. Though it is sad to say, these two creatures know little fondness for each other. Gwyndalor considers the dragon to be reckless and venturesome, whilst Sethin Har berates the eagle for his aloofness and constant caution. Different in temperament though they might be, Gwyndalor and Sethin Har are nonetheless united by their bonds of friendship with Nestra and Arahan. Though it is doubtful that either would put himself in harm's way for the other, both would gladly die 100 times over in defense of their mistresses. So, yeah, really unique characters that would lead to some very unique mechanics, because they'd have to play as one legendary lord, but also they'd kind of need to be independent. So that way, if one gets killed, the other one could, like, rampage and get a bunch of buffs. Or if, while they're both alive, they both get regeneration, so you have to focus one down to stop regeneration, but then you have to face the wrath of the other, so sometimes, you know, one dying isn't necessarily going to win you many favours against them. It could be really interesting. It could be really interesting to see, but I don't know how they're going to do that without sort of one being the legendary lord and the other one just being a hero that you can join in the army, unless they build a system where you can have two legendary lords in the same army. Because I'd be a bit upset if they just did the same thing they did with Vlad and Isabella, where it's just if they happen to be in the same battle, they affect each other. Because it means you've got to take two armies around with you. And with supply lines being a mechanic, the more armies you have, the more at a disadvantage you're at. So it's a bit annoying to initially have two armies to run around with. Because, you know, you end up paying extra for all the units, which is a bit annoying. So I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do it if they do, but I hope they do, and I hope it's as awesome as it is in my head. I think it's going to be wild to have, like, dual characters there. Also, I imagine they'd be, like, fairly flimsy, just generally. I think it'd be quite easy to kill, like, individually. It'd be the fact they'd buff each other and things like that that would make them formidable. I imagine, like, one individually would be much like a hero, right? But the two of them would count as one unit. So it'd be like a couple of High Elf nobles ganging up on someone, right? They would be their own goon squad. That's what I like to think. But who knows? Who knows? They're going to be a real mystery. So I can't wait for that. So now, this is, I'd say, more on the maybe pile. Okay, this is more on the maybe pile of a lord that we might get. But it also could be the free one. Could be. Maybe. It's Drycha, the Briar Maven of Woe. So, yes, it's a dryad. It's a dryad lord. Which is pretty cool. You know, that's a maybe for sure. Because, well, we don't have a. That's like one race that we don't have covered by the legendary lord so far. We've got Orion, who is like his own thing. We have a Treeman with Durthu. And then elves, you know. We're almost certainly going to have an elf legendary lord somewhere here. You know, an actual elf, not, you know, one that's been possessed by, you know, Kurnos or whatever. So it'd be nice to have the different races covered. So for that, this is a possibility. As is, you know, Araloth and the last one we're talking about could be with a free one as well. So anyway, Drycha. Long ago, Drycha held court amongst the roots of Adavok, the once glorious creature known in recent times as the Tree of Woe. Most believe that Drycha lost her mind when Morga's death tainted the ground forever. But in truth, she was capricious and malevolent for many long years before that tragedy. Drycha remembers well the days before the coming of the elves, and has ever rued the folly that shackled the forest in mortal whim and fate. She rarely converses with others, even the dryads who serve her as handmaidens, but instead chants a mantra of the names of those fellow spirits whom she believes had been failed by the elves. As old as Drycha is, she still possesses a crystal-clear memory, and it is doubtful she will ever reach the end of her tally. New names are added with every battle between Athelloren and the outside world. In the early years of the alliance between the elves and the forest, Drycha was ever in evidence about the glades and groves, watching the elves and examining their every action for any sign of betrayal. She has been seen little in the years since Morga's blood was spilt upon her glade, though she is known to commune with Codil, a treeman of great age and power, and serves as his herald, while the great being lies shackled in the depths of the wild wood. Such a thing cannot help but provoke unease, for Codal's distrustful attitude of the Wood Elves is legend. He is so incredibly ancient that it is difficult to ascertain his motivation, for Codal has forgotten more than many younger beings, and the elves included, will ever know. If these two embittered spirits have found common cause, as it appears, it can only be a matter of time before the balance of Lorien Forest is thrown into disarray. Doesn't sound great, does it? So, in recent years, strange tales have come to Athelloren, worrying rumours of Drycha's activities. On the fringe of the great Drakvold forest of the Empire, the peasants tell stories of the trees that come alive, hungry for blood. On the edge of the forest of Arden in Bretonia, villagers gather only deadwood for their purposes, citing tales of other settlements found ruined and torn, the inhabitants left as scraps of tattered meat by the vengeance of the trees. To many, these events seem as senseless, as they are apparently random, but if they are indeed the work of Drycha and her handmaidens, there must surely be a greater goal behind them than mere slaughter, though what the goal is remains to be seen. Alas, even Naiath, the prophetess, cannot see the destination for which Drycha strives, for the road leading there is hidden by blood and horror. So, she's a shadow caster, which is very cool, and what I like is she's sort of at odds with the elves, and I think that could lead to some interesting sort of gameplay mechanics where, you know, recruiting elves isn't going to be a good thing for her. So encourages get a lot more sort of tree spirit related, you know, units, which I think could be quite interesting. But also, it does mention that she's, you know, she travels around a bit. So I think it would be very cool if we saw the Laurelorn Forest. That's the one. Laurelorn Forest up in the Drakvold, you know, up by Nordland. If that got occupied, because there is a Wood Elf settlement there now, maybe occupy with Drycha, you know? Why not? I think that'd be pretty cool. You know, it keeps her away from the other Wood Elf lords that she clearly hates, and her mission could even be to take Athelloren for herself, to kick the elves out. You never know. There might be some stories of betrayal there, which I think would be quite cool. The idea of a Wood Elf civil war, essentially, I think would be very cool. Although, I bet she hates the idea of her faction being called Wood Elves. You know, bloody elves. It's only a matter of time before they betray the tree spirits. Anyway, I think that could be really interesting. So I think she's a pretty good candidate for the bonus one. Although we could see her anyway in the DLC. But I think for the bonus content, I think it makes more sense, because if you do stick her in Laurelorn, you know, then, well, that's only in Mortal Empires, right? But then if she gets around a bit, then she could easily be put in Orien Forest. Is it Orien Forest? You know the one. The Forest of... Yeah, the Forest of Orien. It is that, right? The one in the Southlands. She could be put in there. I imagine that's where the Legendary Lord for, you know, the DLC is going to go in the Vortex campaign. It just... There's already Wood Elves there. It makes the most sense. But then again, she could fit there. So, pretty good candidate for either, to be honest. You know? She's female, so that her clue fits. But she kind of fits in both, so she could be the bonus one. Because I don't think she's a fan favourite. So, as a bonus, it means they're not cordoning off something too good, right? Too fan favourite-y. So, there is that. But, finally, alright, we have one more, which, well, she hasn't been in a book in a long time. This book's pretty old. I think this is 4th edition, I think. I forget. It doesn't actually say the editions on the covers or anything. Which is why sometimes when you buy a book on Amazon, you think it's a certain edition, they send you a completely different one. I have 2 of this exact same book because I was trying to buy the 8th edition. It's very annoying. It's all second hand, eh? So, anyway. So, finally, we have Ariel. Sorry, not Ariel. Ariel. She's the Wood Elf equivalent of Ariel, pretty much, so I get them confused, as I'm sure you all will. But anyway, Ariel, Mage Queen of Athelloren. So, yeah, far less to talk about here, honestly. She doesn't have a lot to talk about, because these books had a lot less fluffing back in the day, but... Ariel is the Queen of Athelloren and presides over the realm together with Orion. Ariel acquired the aspects of Isha, the ancient elven goddess of nature, through the strange magic of the Oak of Ages at the same time as Orion gained the aspects of Kurnos. Thus the magical force of nature flows through Ariel as if she were Isha herself. Ariel wields immense natural forces and weaves them according to her will. Commanding the trees of the forest to grow and vegetation to spring forth from the ground. A lot like Ariel. Anyway, not Ariel, Ariel. So, pretty similar. Pretty similar. Anyway, so commanding the trees of the forest to grow and vegetation to spring forth from the ground. It is who weaves enchantments. The language in the older books is also tries to wax poetic, and it's kind of irritating to read. Anyway, she it is who weaves enchantments around the forest of Lauren to delay and mislead intruders, or lure them onwards to their doom. Like Orion, Ariel's immortality is linked to the seasons, and though she dies each midwinter, she is reborn the following year. If Ariel perishes in battle, the elves will carry her away and seal her within the Oak of Ages to be reborn again in the spring. When enemies enter the forest of Lauren, Ariel shifts shape into her sylph-like war aspect, which is wild. It'd be very cool to have a shape-shifting legendary lord like that. And there is precedent for that with Malice Darkblade. So, you know, that could have been a nice test for this, which is interesting. She grows almost twice the height of an ordinary elf and unfolds huge wings like those of a gigantic moth, covered in tiny scales of shimmering iridescent colours. Upon her wings, strange markings known as the Eyes of Isha and the Spirals of Isha can be seen. Sometimes Ariel's wings display the markings of the Death's Head moth, indicating that she is enraged and in a vengeful mood. Moth-like antennae emerge from Ariel's head, but her face remains that of a beautiful she-elf with piercing eyes. The upper part of the body is clad in shimmering scales of incandescent green, while the lower part trails away into infinity, like an ethereal or elemental being. She appears to glow with an inner light, like the moon, and trails raw magic in a shower of glittering stardust. In this form, Ariel can fly around the battlefield wielding her magic. The wafting of her huge wings over the heads of the enemy fills them with dread and awe. Very cool. Oh, also, she can use any high magic or battle magic spells. So she has access to all the magic, basically. But I'm assuming she'll be like a lot of the other sort of high elf casters, where there'll be like a hybrid one. So they'll give her, you know, high magic and a bunch of choice spells to use. Probably Law of Life, you know, fair bit. Probably similar stuff to Ariel, to be honest. But yeah, she's a terrifying doom moth lady, which is fun. So I like that. I like that a lot. So she's pretty cool. She's pretty damn cool. And I think she's quite a strong candidate for the DLC Lord. And maybe Drycha for the free LC, for like the bonus one, because I think putting Ariel away as a bonus, I think about it, might be a little bit cheeky, because I think a lot of people already want her, but a lot of people want the Sisters of Twilight, and I think just having a straight up normal like elf lord like Araloth makes a lot of sense too. So it's kind of tough to call. It's pretty tough to call, but also there is a possibility that this isn't going to be a versus. Isn't necessarily going to be like a versus campaign. They might just make it completely unique, and it could just be a couple of Wood Elf things, knowing that they need to do the rework for that, and they might be up against something else that doesn't need a rework. You know, that might be their story thread. I don't know. I really don't. They might do something unique here, because they seem to be doing some unique things anyway. On account of the whole, like, yeah, if you own the Vortex campaign, you get this. If you own Mortal Empires, you get something else. If you own all the stuff, then here you go. It's all a bit mad. But regardless, bunch of new units and stuff, and Wood Elves. Oh, I've been waiting for Wood Elves to get some love. So this is brilliant, because I've got to say, it's probably the most wanted campaign that still sucks. You know what I mean? Like, Beastmen, I think some people like Beastmen, some people don't. I kind of just like them as a villain, though I'd like them to be more fleshed out, because I do love them in multiplayer. But like Wood Elves, I think their campaign just doesn't work in Mortal Empires. Their campaign mechanics are just broken in Mortal Empires. It just doesn't work. You know, their economy is sort of rubbish, but then they can get, like, mad bonuses to their range damage with a bunch of outputs. It's a bit weird. It doesn't really work, and the amber mechanic was a bit crap to begin with, honestly. It was a bit weird. It just sort of ruined the amount of choice you had for units to recruit. And then, you know, it's a game that really... its strength is variety, and then amber makes you go, no, bad. Don't build a varied army. And you go, but I want to. No. So I don't like that. So hopefully they'll change that up a fair bit. But, I mean, their track record is pretty excellent. Like, the DLC's been getting better and better. They've been doing some really unique stuff and really, really interesting stuff. So I can't wait to see what they do with this, and especially just unique, like, Lord mechanics and places to start in the campaign map. I think it'll be interesting. But I think given the fact that Athalloran is kind of full, you know, there's technically a couple of places you put legendary lords, but it would be very crowded. But there is one place in the Vortex map that they can go, which is also in the Mortal Empires map, you know, the one in the Southlands. But then Mortal Empires uniquely has Athalloran, and it has Lorelorn Forest. So I think we're going to see those populated. I think Athalloran isn't getting more crowded, but it'll be way more playable, and that's the main thing. So, yeah, I think that's me. That's me signing off now, guys. So those are the lords that it could be. Those are the missing legendary lords. The hero, I'm not even going to try and speculate, because, you know, it doesn't even say that it's a Wood Elf hero. It could be literally anything. If it is a hero, it might be Shadow Dancers, but then, like, a Shadow Dancer could just be part of the DLC as the new units for the DLC. I don't know. There's a bunch of stuff that it could be. So I'm not going to speculate, but it's a free LC hero. And, I mean, we can see here, actually, free LC hero. That's if you don't own anything. It's not going to give you a hero you can't play, right? So it's got to be one of the core races. It's got to be a hero for one of the core races. So, yeah. There we go. There we have it. It's going to be one of them, I guess. So that's interesting. So, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, so Old World update for the Wood Elves. So, I still think there might be an Old World update for something else because of the wording above. It could just be they worded it wrong, but that's fine. But anyway, it's not me signing off because I have one last thing. One last thing. One event the current world situation has certainly put the crimpers on us, is announcing our next major Total War title. So they can't mention the next title yet, except they kind of do in their classic signing off a blog post nonsense. So, as you can imagine, it's all a bit chaotic here at CA, so please bear. It's my bear impression. Looks more like a weasel. They call him the shrew. Anyway, so yeah, please bear with us. So, Chaos and Kislev, right? Chaos and Kislev. It's gotta be. Gotta be. Gotta be. Although that's where the speculation's been always. Frankly, it'd be weird not to flesh out Kislev. They fleshed out factions like Norska and the Vampire Coast, so they would do Kislev, because they're the front line against Chaos. So, obviously, they're gonna be putting all the Chaos, you know, divided factions in there. You know, the four, you know, Khorne / Tzeentch and Nurgle. They're going to put them in the game in Game 3, because that's a heck of a lot of stuff that's missing that's very, very important. And, yeah, you need Kislev to fight Chaos. It's that simple. They're the front line. So, we're going to see Kislev. It'd just be weird if we didn't, frankly. I don't know for certain that they're doing it, but, like, what are they thinking if they're not doing Kislev, frankly? It would just make no sense, you know. Story-wise, like, they are the front line. They're the thing that should get killed first, so they should be unique. Because, yeah, right now, just an Empire reskin. It's not Kislev. So, we'll see. We'll see. Right, so, that is now me signing off. Also, Total War Access. Yeah, there's, you can grab Amazon's DLC for nothing, apparently, in Total War Access, which is nice. But, again, I'm just talking about Warhammer here, so don't worry about it. Also, more sales and whatever, stuff. You can read it. It's in the description. You might have read it already. Oh, and Elysium, the card game. That'll be turning up at some point. So, yeah, stuff. Good stuff. But Warhammer, hey, so happy! So guys, if you enjoyed this, please do comment, like, and subscribe, and be sure to, yeah, hang out for more stuff that's going to be on the channel, because I put stuff on the channel. It's a YouTube channel, you know how it works. So, yeah, eat your greens. I'll see you later. Have a good one.